It's pretty wild how the Israeli government will force males once they hit 18 to join the military, and if you don't join, you will go to jail for 30 days. So there is a lot of Israelis that are in the IDF that had never wanted to be in the IDF, never wanted to be in war, never had a problem with Palestinians, but they end up getting forced into being in the military because the Israeli government doesn't care about the actual uh, choices the Israeli citizens want to make for themselves.
We're going to talk more about this now with our Jerusalem correspondent, Iris Mackler. Iris, tell us a bit more about this very controversial decision.
Controversial landmark decision about an issue that's really been tearing Israel apart and its politics apart for decades now. So this is an exemption for young ultra-Orthodox men who are not required to fight. And what the High Court said, Israel's Supreme Court, its highest court, said was that this was discrimination, and in a time of war, discrimination of the worst kind, because there's a whole...
That is wild how it's considered discrimination that ultra-Orthodox Jewish people in Israel were exempt. I mean, nobody should be uh, made to fight in a war if they don't want to. It is insane how they're trying to base forcing people into fighting a war as them discriminating against others.
Group of young men who don't take the risk, that is the risk of losing their lives. So that was their overall decision. There's also a component which is that there will not be funding for these young men, either for them to study or for their schools, if they do not go and are not drafted. And I think one of the reasons...
Why don't people like Netanyahu and people in his, well, old war cabinet and others who actually want a war in Gaza actually join the military? It is insane how the Supreme Court in Israel is able to force other people to murder people in Gaza.
Reasons for this right now is actually the October the 7th attacks and the war with Gaza, which has exposed the manpower shortage in the IDF, in Israel's military. So we've learned during this court case what the actual numbers of young ultra-Orthodox men in the military are, and it's about 700 a year. Just to give you an idea, there's more than 60,000 eligible young men. So that's not a large proportion, and it is compulsory for everyone else. And today the court has come down with this decision in this hugely important case.
So,
In my opinion, a nation that forces people into the military is far from a democratic nation, because if you don't have the chance to not join the military and to not murder people, well, then you're just a puppet.
Iris, what's the likelihood that this decision could have an effect on Benjamin Netanyahu and his government?
There is a likelihood. Let's just start with the ultra-Orthodox themselves. The ultra-Orthodox and religious parties to whom this is a hugely emotive issue, they say that they want to pray rather than to fight, and it's their prayers that are protecting the people of Israel. I think that's the best summary of the young men that I've spoken to over the past week. So it's very emotive for them, and they are about...
Well, that's kind of insane to believe that praying for people is protecting them from being killed. Prayers can do that, but being that, these people are ultra religious, yeah, they're going to believe that.
1/3 of this government, of the various coalitions. That's their numbers. But it's not just that. It's that because of this war, we now hear dissenting voices from within the Likud party. So that's the party Benjamin Netanyahu leads. They say they're not going to vote in favour of an exemption at this time. So the vote may not be passed. And because of its huge importance to the ultra-Orthodox parties, then it is a possibility that they will leave. I have heard discussions saying that they know they may not get a more friendly government towards them in the future, but this is something they can't live with, and it is possible that they